Hey guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back to the Bookworms Buddy. Today, I wanted to give you a top 10. So, I wanted to throw this list together of my top 10 mystery thriller writers. I've been reading mystery and thriller for a long time, and it's probably going to be, one of my favorite genres, right up there with horror. But I do realize that I read a lot of different genres now, a lot more than I used to read. I used to be strictly mystery, horror, and then, the thriller got thrown in there, and now I just read all of them. I've even read science fiction. I read romance, fantasy, historical. I just read all of them, and it's kind of hard to pinpoint a favorite genre now because I read so many different ones. I think more for me it would be picking a favorite author from a genre rather than picking a favorite genre, because I don't feel like anything could outdo mystery, thriller, or horror. So that's just my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to give you a few honorable mentions first, and then I'll go from a list from 10 to 1. And that's how we're going to do this. So let's get started on these honorable mentions. The first one I've got down here is Jonathan Mayberry. And y'all are probably thinking, oh my goodness, you put Jonathan Mayberry way down there on an honorable mention? And the reason for that is because he doesn't normally write mystery thriller. But he did happen to have a very good thriller series, the Joe Ledger series. You guys, if you've been with me this whole time, you will know that I just went on and on about the Joe Ledger series because the writing is just perfection. Jonathan Mayberry just, in my opinion, cannot write a bad book. And I've read a lot of his books, and the Joe Ledger series being my favorite of all of them. The Joe Ledger series is a thriller series, but it's got that post-apocalyptic feel to it, and I really enjoyed that part of it. His writing is very fluid, always something happening. There's always a lot of drama. I love his character development, his plots, the world building, all of it is just exquisite in my opinion. So, for my favorite mystery thriller writers, I had to include him for that series, for the Joe Ledger series, and that's why he is on my honorable mentions. The next one on my honorable mention is Nicole Trope, because I read only one book by her so far. It was The Family Across the Street. And I read this from our book club. This was one of the books we read, and I believe it was back in June that we read that. Last June, I believe. I thought it was much later, but anyway, it was a fantastic read. I absolutely loved The Family Across the Street. Beautifully done. And it just strung you along. And, you could pinpoint, oh, I know what's going on. And you just didn't know. So it was a fabulous story. This is the one where the husband was away and there was an intruder in the house and holding the family kind of hostage there. But fantastic, just really fantastic. And the last one I've got here for honorable mention is Rose Carlyle for The Girl in the Mirror. Again, the only book that I read by her. Absolutely loved it. This one was about the twins. They were mirror twins, so everything was opposite from each twin. They were identical, but just opposite features. And so in the body, like the heart would be on one side of one twin, but on the other side of the other twin. So they were identical mirror twins. And this one was, they went out on a boat trip, the two twins, to get the boat moved. And the one ended up disappearing, and they went back, and she had to try to explain everything that was going on because she really didn't understand what was happening. And that's all I'm going to say. It was fabulous, you guys. I absolutely loved that book. It kept my attention the whole time. Always something new happening, and then the ending just blew my mind. So I really enjoyed that. Those three were my honorable mentions. If you haven't read any of these, then please go check them out. Now let's get to my top 10. Coming in at number 10, I have to say, is Tammy Hogue. My favorite series of hers is the Kovac and Lishka series. This is mystery. There is some thrills and chills in it. And Tammy Hogue has a really good way of writing. And she writes very fluidly. Her characters, Kovac is my favorite. He is very flawed. Has many issues of his own. But they always get the job done. They always solve the murders. I have many series on my shelves, like maybe 3 or 4 series by Tammy Hogue, and they're standalones as well. And I've read a lot of her books. Absolutely love Tammy Hogue, just not up above the rest of them. Coming in at number 9 is Lisa Jackson. Again, if you guys have been following me for a long time, you know that I absolutely love Lisa Jackson's books. My favorite series by Lisa Jackson is the To Die series. And I have to say, though, with Lisa Jackson and her writing, there's a lot of, it's meticulous writing. There's a lot of details. So if you're going to read a series by Lisa Jackson, you should first start with like a standalone book. Because her writing is just very definitive and very, like I said, meticulous. There's lots of details. And to read them back to back is really hard to do. I don't feel like in a mystery series you have to read the whole series straight on. I did that with the New Orleans series because I wanted to get that series done. I've had it on my shelf forever, just sitting there waiting to be read. And so I did read those pretty much back to back. I may have slipped a book in here and there in between them because it's a lot to take in. And if you're reading that kind of writing, it will start to feel like a little overwhelming, really. And just there are tropes, like, God made me do it, or you're killing in the name of Jesus and that kind of stuff. There was a lot of that, and there was a lot of Catholic elements also in the series. And you got to take it bits at a time. She is a great writer. Like I said, the To Die series is my favorite, but you got to take it in small doses. I don't feel like you need to read a mystery back to back to back, especially when you're reading something by Lisa Jackson because of the meticulous writing. If you're reading just one book, I do feel like it flows well. I feel like she keeps things moving and keeps readers interested. It's just the dosage part of it. Just, take it easy when you read Lisa Jackson. Like I said, if you want to try her, start with just like maybe a standalone. And then you'll understand what I'm talking about attention to detail and stuff like that. Okay, moving on. Number 8 is Karen Slaughter. I absolutely love Karen Slaughter. My favorite series by her will always be the Will Trent series. Absolutely loved that series. There's another series that I should have read first, and that's the Grant Count series, because I did get kind of spoiled. Reading the Will Trent series, it kind of spoiled me for the Grant County series. Both those are equally as good. I just feel like the Will Trent character itself was just more appealing to me. I absolutely love Will Trent. Again, he's very flawed, has many issues, but he gets the job done. And Karen Slaughter, again, she has just a very fluid writing. I've heard some people talk about how she is a meticulous writer and lots of detail. And that is true. I do find it. I just don't find it as much as I do with Lisa Jackson. But I feel like there's always something hopping off the page for readers, and it keeps your interest. And I really like that about Karen Slaughter's writing as well. So if you want to read Karen Slaughter and you want to read the Will Trent series, you should read the Grant County series first, or just read the Will Trent and move on. Either way, Karen Slaughter comes in at number 8. Number 7, I'm going to say, is M.W. Craven. You guys know I've been reading his books on my Kindle, the Washington Post series. This is the only series of M.W. Craven's that I've read, but the characters are amazing. I absolutely love Washington Poe and his sidekick. They just work well together. She's like the brains of the operation. She's, like working through the computer. She's busting codes. And then Washington Poe is getting, right down to the nitty gritty in his sleuthing. So very easy to read. They're not very big books. So if you want a really quick mystery with great characters, then probably the Washington Post series is fantastic, and Tilly is fantastic, who is his sidekick, and they're fun to read together. They're fun to see together and solve these crimes. Again, separate mysteries throughout this Washington Post series, so you can read any of the books. Just don't go backwards, because then you're gonna, you're not gonna understand things. So character development is fantastic. I love Washington Poe. He does grow on you, and so does Tilly. And it reads kind of like, along your lines of like Agatha Christie. They are tame. I feel like the reading is tame. It's not, really in your face. But I really super enjoy that series. I think I only have 2 left to read in the Washington Post series. So that comes in at number 7. Okay, so coming in at number 6 is Robert B. Parker. I had to include him on this list because I absolutely love his writing. Sadly, Robert B. Parker is no longer with us. I believe he passed away. I don't know for sure on that. I'll put it on the screen. I'll look it up. My favorite series by him, there's 2 of them I know of, and that's the Spencer and the Jesse Stone. The Jesse Stone series is my favorite. The one thing that Robert B. Parker really is a master at is dialogue. When you have a book with a lot of dialogue, you're going to read that book a lot faster, and I can just whip through a Jesse Stone book. I have not read the Spencer series. I did read a Christmas one. I don't remember what it was called. Oh, Silent Night. And that was the Spencer series, and I just picked it up because I wanted a mystery to put on for my Christmas TBR, and so I chose Silent Night. It was a decent story. So Robert B. Parker, like I said, dialogue. He's got great plots, and again, they're more on the tame side. So if you don't like, blood and violence and all that stuff, then you could probably handle Robert B. Parker's Jesse Stone series, or probably even the Spencer series. I don't know how much of the Spencer series he managed to write, but he did not finish the Jesse Stone series. Somebody else came in and finished that series after he had passed away. So keep that in mind. Robert B. Parker, fantastic books. Okay, coming in at number 5, I have to say, is Riley Sager. You guys, if you've been following me, you know that I just discovered Riley Sager last year. I've heard people talk about him. I've heard his name, but I just never picked up a book by him. But I did last year. My 2 favorite books was The Last Time I Lied, and I also enjoyed Lock Every Door. Both of those were phenomenal. Completely just blew my mind. I loved the fluidity of the writing, the characters, the plots. Everything was fantastic. I heard some people talking about Last Time I Lied. They didn't really care for that, or how it wasn't very real or relatable. But you know what? It's a fiction book, and in this case, it's a mystery. So I don't feel like it needs to be really believable. It's not really touching on major issues that we deal with on a daily basis. So there were parts that were a little unrealistic in the story, but I enjoyed them all the same. So Riley Sager comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is Ted Dekker. Again, if you guys follow me, you know that I love Ted Dekker's writing. He is a Christian fiction writer, but he writes a lot of thrillers. My favorite book probably by Ted Dekker is 3. I've read that book like 3 times. Oh, 3 and 3. Fantastic. The end of that book just blew my mind. It took me a week to just kind of soak in all of that, what was going on. That one was just definitely a psychological thriller. Most of his stuff there's a lot of adrenaline pumping action in Ted Dekker's books. He usually has good versus evil. There is usually some kind of a religion element to it, but not him saying, this is what I believe, so you believe. It's none of that kind of stuff. It's generally stuff that's good versus evil, and I like that aspect of writing. So Ted Dekker comes in at number 4. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Alex Lake. I discovered him also last year, and oh my goodness, you guys, he is so good. I read 7 Days first. That was the very first book I read, and I believe that was in my Goodreads feed, and I got interested in it. Got it on my Kindle. Absolutely loved it. He's got so many great books out there. After Anna was fantastic. Let's see, what else do we got there? Copycat, Killing Kate. Just a fantastic writer. Very fluid writing once again. In 7 Days, I'll give you a little hint of what it was like. In 7 Days, it's a woman who has been missing for many, 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 many years. And she grew up with this man who took her. And she was having children, and I believe it was the age of 3. When they were going to turn the age of 3, he would take the child from her. And then she would get pregnant again, and just happened several times. And I don't want to say too much. So she's got her third, I think this is a third child, and it's happening again. And in 7 days, he's going to be, I want to say it's 3. I want to say they have to be 3. It's been a while since, it's been a year since I've read them. And so she needs to find a way to maybe stop it this time. So, great thriller writing, great plots, and I love the parts of it where you just really are like, what is going on? Who is this person? Why are they doing this kind of thing? It always leaves you questioning. You keep questioning and questioning until you finally get to the end of the story. Alex Lake has got it going on, knows how to write a good thriller, absolutely loved it. Coming in at number 2 is Alice Feeney. Again, she's a new to me author. I just started reading her last year, and we read Rock, Paper, Scissors in our book club, and absolutely loved that book. I thought I had it figured out, and when you just don't have it figured out, that's what it's supposed to be like. You're not supposed to be able to figure it out. But she also, not in just this book, but in another book that I read, she uses letters, where she writes, where there's handwritten letters in there, and you're trying to figure out who's writing the letter. And you automatically are assuming you know, and you end up not knowing. So I absolutely like that part of it, and they're well labeled, so you know whose point of view you're in. I have read books where it's switching, and you're like, wait, who is this? So yeah, she does write in multiple POVs, and I absolutely love that. And the thrills and chills are fantastic. Rock, Paper, Scissors was a fantastic book. So if you guys want to go in to read, that's a good thriller set in coldness, winter time. That's a good one if you like that kind of a setting. I've also read His and Hers, and then Sometimes I Lie. Both of those. I can't remember. One of those two I didn't care for as much. I think it was His and Hers. Maybe it was Sometimes I Lie. I don't remember which one of those. I didn't like it as much as Rock, Paper, Scissors. So, anyway, number 2, Alice Feeney. And coming in at number 1, can you guess? Chris Carter. Chris Carter, also new to me. I started reading his books last year, and I just haven't stopped since. He's got a fantastic series, the Robert Hunter Thriller series. I don't know if he's even wrote anything else, but this series has keeping me busy. I love the way the books end, and once you go straight into the next one, you're watching Robert Hunter just grow, like just by leaps and bounds. Each book you learn something new about Robert Hunter, and he is somebody that I would definitely want in my corner. So all of his stuff is just fantastic, but like I said before, with Chris Carter, he does write darker thriller. So if you are with Robert and he is going, because they found a dead body, you're going to see exactly what Robert Hunter is seeing. So just keep that in mind. If you don't like the violence, the gore, the blood, then you may not want to read his stuff. But I absolutely love being in the action as long as it's not too bad. But there's been times when I was like, ooh, I can't read it, and it's like you're watching a movie. But yeah, Chris Carter is probably my #1 thriller writer right now. He's absolutely fantastic, and I am just finished book 6 of his like last week or the week before, maybe last week, and I'm ready for the next one. He is fantastic, you guys. I implore you to read Chris Carter. If you've read any of these thriller writers, start with Chris Carter because he's fantastic. And there you have it, guys. My top 10 favorite mystery thriller writers. Some of these you probably know, some you probably don't. Some you probably read, and some you haven't. So there's the list for you. I have to make mention of all these guys because I think they're all fabulous writers, and I'm sure in the future that there will be more thriller writers that I find that will be another top list of mystery thriller writers. If you have read these authors that I've mentioned here today, leave me a comment what you think about their writing, or who your favorite thriller writer might be. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.